Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. We are picking up right where we left off from the last video. If you haven't yet, make sure you watch the last two videos on my channel, which are all part of the same trip, part of the Mediterranean cruise that I went on. And now we have arrived in Jerusalem. We have decided to follow a tour for this trip. We began at the Dead Sea, got to see Mount Olive, and what we're looking at now is the Garden of Gethsemane, which is the place where Jesus prayed with his disciples right before he was arrested. And now we are on our way to see the Dome of the Rock up close. Entering the Dome of the Rock, they of course have plenty of security. They will check bags and metal detectors, and along with this, if you have exposed shoulders, legs, or ankles, they will offer you some like sweaters and skirts to cover up. The rules kind of differ for both men and women. Like men are allowed to, of course, show arms, women are not, and however, both must cover their legs. To be honest, the Dome of the Rock was much smaller in person than I had thought it would be. It looks huge from a distance, but it's not that huge. It is, however, a gorgeous and marvelous sight. Right after leaving, we had to walk past some market vendors in order to get to the Western Wall. Here's a small little look at what some of the things that the vendors were selling. I did not look into any of the prices here, and I know some places like these are known to upcharge for tourists. And here is the Western Wall, also known as the Wailing Wall. It is the holiest place where Jews are permitted to pray outside the previous Temple Mount platform, since the presumed site of the Holy of Holies, the most sacred site in the Jewish faith, lies just behind it. We had a short lunch break and went shopping for a little bit before reuniting with the rest of the group. And we're now at the Holy Sepulchre. It was so hot earlier, so now that the sun has gone down a bit, it feels real nice and warm. The Holy Sepulchre contains both the site where Jesus was crucified and Jesus' empty tomb, where he was buried and resurrected. That spot where people are lining up to touch is the very spot they say where Jesus was once crucified. That same little hole in the ground is where that cross once stood. is there's such a long line that it wraps throughout the whole building. So we were actually quite lucky today.
That's over here, and it was hard. So this is why there's no line.
And this is the spot where Jesus' body once laid. I had to rush in filming this because we were told that we could only have 30 seconds inside of here because there was quite a long line forming behind us. This is said to be the rock where Jesus' hands were nailed to the cross and his blood spilled over this rock. Now we were all done for the day. Walked a lot off of camera. I had about 12,000 steps recorded. It's time for a long rest and to get ready for Haifa tomorrow. There wasn't really much to do here in Haifa besides taking a taxi to either Tel Aviv or Nazareth, which amounted to about $50 per person, and we had spent so much money in Jerusalem that we couldn't really afford to do that. So we decided to come to this nearby sculpture garden, which had a great view of the port. Now it's time to discuss the history of Haifa. Haifa has a key port and was of great concern to the combatants in the Palestine War. The Arabs and the Haganah, the Jewish defense forces, fought for control of the city, and on April 2nd, 1948, the Arabs surrendered. This view was only a short walk away from the sculpture garden. We could see a good view of the port and the whole city from here. And now, since it was such a hot day, we decided to take a dip in the local beach called Carmel Beach. The water looked absolutely gorgeous. Haifa is known for its plentiful beaches since it is a coastal city, and Carmel Beach is one of the most popular destinations. Now, to end off the day, we ate lunch here at one of the restaurants on the beach, and afterwards it was time to head back to the ship. Next up is Cyprus. We have just arrived in Limassol, Cyprus, and of course our first stop was a store. This place is full of natural sea products like various seashells, clams, minerals, and these real sea sponges that you can use as loofahs. They feel very firm yet squishy to the touch. descendants. Cyprus was first settled by Mycenaean Greeks in 2 waves in the 2nd millennium BC. Here there's also a lot of natural olive oil products like lotions, soaps, scrubs, and the bar soaps were only $1.60 each. As we were walking, we stumbled across this place selling gelato, and it was so good. Oh my goodness. I got the vanilla brownie caramel flavor, and it is just as good as you think it is. I also got an iced caramel latte because I was just falling asleep at this point. The time zone differences were really hitting me. And here are some more street vendors with traditional clothes, which were very cheap.
It says this is the street to the castle. Vintage Coca-Cola machine. That's so cool. I believe this is the cathedral. Yes, it has to be. Well, let's go in. Limasol's medieval castle. Now we are about to enter Limassol Castle, the one part of Cyprus that I was most looking to visit. The medieval castle has now been turned into a museum, and it holds a ton of old medieval pottery, tombstones, silver Byzantine-era plates, weapons, and coins. Limassol Castle is also known for being the place where Richard the Lionheart married Berengaria of Navarre and crowned her Queen of England in 1191. The walls of this castle are thought to be fragments of a much larger castle. Throughout the years, the fort suffered the assaults of many invaders, sustaining further damage in the earthquakes of 1567 and 1568. Finally, in 1590, the Ottomans rebuilt the fort in its current form. This was the prison cells. This was what the entire town used to look like. It says that this body probably belonged to a soldier who was mutilated and decapitated when the Turks entered Nicosia after the siege of the city in 1570. It was not nicer down here. It's not as hot as it was on the upper floors. Over here as well, possibly all tombstones. All these different countries. Stone from the Corinthian capital. Here is the armor and weapons. During the 18th to 19th century. Those are the swords. And daggers. 18th to 19th century. Now we are going to second floor, the roof. You have to take small boats in order to get there, and my motion sickness got really bad on that boat ride. In order to get to the very top of the island, you have to take either hundreds of steps of stairs, or you can pay in order to take the cable car up, which is what we, of course, decided to do. The place where we began was called Thera, but the city with the famous Instagram photos of the white and blue buildings is called Ia, so you know we have to take a taxi to get over there. Having a sugar craving, so I stopped at this nearby cafe that had crepes, and I got this delicious chocolate crepe along with this Greek yogurt with honey and nuts, and a little something more. After a lot of shopping and exploring the city, it's now time to head back to Thera. Everyone is crowded around here trying to take photos of the famous sunset view from Thera, and it is gorgeous. It literally reminded me of like a desktop wallpaper or a stock photo. It just felt unreal to see this in person. And that concludes my cruise in the Mediterranean Sea. Thank you so much for joining me in this journey and supporting my channel. It really means a lot to me since I'm still very new to the whole vlogging process. I promise I will get better over time. Stay tuned for future videos, and hint, my next video has something to do in East Asia.